She's with us now, the Chief Communications Officer of the Job Creators Network, the number one tax cut organization in the United States. They have fought so hard for these tax cuts. Their bus tour was amazing. They're the organization in America trying to bring light to the fact that these tax cuts are so effective. Got a text here the other day from Sean in Newport News who said, hey, I just did my taxes and same income this year versus last. Everything is the same. And he said, I have a family of 3. He said, I saved $1,250. That's like $1,250 I saved. I didn't have to, I saved it. I like these tax cuts. Democrats like tax cuts too. And it's going to be pretty good. Start doing your taxes. She's with us now, Elaine Parker, Chief Communications Officer, Job Creators Network. Elaine, good to have you with us.
Good morning, John. Thank you for having me.
So you just did an op-ed called Women Entrepreneurs on the Rise. Let's continue the trend. Can you give our audience a little bit of a flavor of that op-ed?
Yeah, I mean, the gist of it is that women are just a major force in our economic ecosystem. And, we see it in the jobs numbers every month. Since this administration has come in for the last 2 years, we've constantly seen the unemployment rate go down. And we've seen it go below 4% for the first time since 2000. And as a result of policies like lower taxes from the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act and less regulation, which frankly is the least told story out there that this administration has accomplished as far as cutting red tape. It's been a major factor for small business. We have continued to see small business entrepreneurs, female-owned small business entrepreneurs, start new businesses. And now they represent 11.6 million businesses, and they employ 9 million people. That's an incredible piece of our economy. And on average, over the last 2 decades, John, we've seen, if you look at the average of how many businesses have been started by female entrepreneurs, you can look at it and say, okay, 11.6 million, that's about 849 net new women-owned businesses added to our economy every day. And as we start to see these policies really take effect and have that, this is the first full year of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, and people are just starting to get their W-2s and they're just starting to file their taxes for 2018. We're going to continue hearing stories like you just mentioned, the gentleman who texted you about how much he has saved.
I mean, you save $1,200 and you make basically the same income. I had another person tell me that owns a business, and he told me that his revenue went up $10,000 year over year. This is just all in the past 5 or 6 days. He said that his revenue went up about $10,000. His profit went up $5,000. So he has about a 50% flow through on that. So he has an LLC, 10,000 revenue higher, 5,000 profit higher, saved $2,700. So made $5,000 more than he made in 2017, made $5,000 income net more, saved $2,700 in taxes. He said it was a difference of $5,700 year over year to his what cash he has. And he said you make more money and you pay less money, took that money and bought a new piece of equipment that he needed, didn't finance it, paid cash. And now next year he was telling me take that whole thing and write it off. It was like a $20,000 piece of equipment. So it's even so that he got the tax cut, then goes out and buys something and writes it off that year. That's why he buys it, doesn't find it, buys it. And so that helps the economy. All this stuff is, the legacy media is never going to tell you anything about any of it.
You know, that's absolutely true. And the real game changer for small business owners, these pass-through entities, S-corps, LLCs, has been the new 20% tax deduction on their business revenue. That's a game changer. Our members are small business owners just like that. And the ability to shield a fifth of their income and be able to reinvest it back in their business and buy equipment like you just mentioned and immediately expense it, that turns into real jobs. And that's just one of the key elements of the new Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that passed in late 2017. But we're just going to start seeing all these results, like I said, as people file their taxes. Two other very important elements to individual taxpayers is just a general lowering of the tax rate across the board. Every single rate came down. And the other big point is the doubling of the standard deduction. For married couples, it went from basically $12,000 to $24,000. The first $24,000 of a married couple's income is completely tax-free, shielded from income. And then the last thing that really helps married couples and individuals with children is the doubling of the child tax credit from $1,000 to $2,000. That's not a deduction. It's actually a credit against your tax cut, against your entire tax bill. So instead of if you've got 2 kids, you don't get $2,000 anymore. You're going to get $4,000 off your tax bill. That's pretty incredible for people to be able to reinvest back into their kids' college accounts, back into maybe their summer vacation that they're planning. So there's going to be a lot of good news coming out. And yes, I hope that the news media will talk about it, because these are real stories from real job creators and real Americans who are doing well in this economy. And we're seeing it through female entrepreneurs who are taking risks and becoming a major force in this economy. We're seeing the lowest unemployment rates that we've seen since 2000, and the lowest on record for Hispanic and the Black community. And that's pretty incredible to talk about, but we're not hearing it anywhere.
Well, you're not going to hear it because it doesn't fit the narrative of the fake news legacy media that just wants to get up every day, blast Trump, blast his policies, and continue the big lie of 2018, which is that Trump's tax cuts will hurt you. I mean, that is the big lie that we've been trying to expose here for months and months and months. We're with Elaine Parker. She's Chief Communications Officer for the Job Creators Network. More information, go to taxcutswork.com, taxcutswork.com. Elaine, you mentioned the deduction going up for children. And just to clarify this again, this isn't like a deduction that it comes off your earnings, or you get a $4,000 deduction instead of making 75, you made 71. No, this comes off your tax bill. So if you owe $8,000 and you get the $4,000 for the 2 children, or however much it is, whatever the number is, it comes off the amount of tax you owe. Big difference, right? Huge difference.
Huge difference.
Huge. I mean, huge, because it comes right off the amount you owe. So when you add it up in the bottom line, you've got $4,000 in child deductions. Instead of, if you owe 10, now you owe 6. If you owe 6, now you owe 2. If you owe 4, you owe 0. Just comes right up, just gone. And all of these things people are not going to realize until they start doing their taxes, or their accountant does them, or they go to a tax filing service and they start to see what the benefits are. And then they're going to be shocked by it. Because right now, only thing that people have seen is their withholding has gone down through their employer based on what their status is. Now, that's money in your pocket, but, it's like everybody gets paid today electronically, so you get a little more money in there. You never really see it, or think about it over time. But when you do those taxes and you have to sign that form and you have to sign a check, or you have to count the refund you're getting, that's then real dollars. That, Elaine, that's where people are going to start to realize how tremendous this tax reform package is.
Absolutely. And I actually encourage people to go to our website, taxcutswork.com. We've got a calculator on that website that you can actually calculate your savings on your 2018 taxes over your 2017 taxes. So you can really see the real savings from the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act and how it's benefiting everyday Americans, not the wealthy, not the big corporations, but everyday Americans are benefiting as well. And like I said, taxcutswork.com, your listeners can calculate that savings, and I think that they'll be pleasantly surprised.
Every person in every tax bracket got a cut. This is the other thing. Every person in every tax bracket got a cut. After the tax cut, the top 20% of income earners are paying 87% of all federal income taxes. 87%. So this idea that this is a tax cut for the rich or something, it doesn't affect. if you're a typical middle-class family earning $50,000, you're going to save $1,200. Exactly what Sean said when he texted me. Exact example of that. He saved $1,200. I mean, meets it to a dime. So all of this, Elaine, is going to continue to impact the economy, and it's going to be very interesting to see how the legacy media digs their way out of the fake news telling people they're going to pay more when everybody pays less. How do you think they're going to react to that?
You know, we are seeing the economy not slow down, but level off. And because of all of the uncertainty, we've got the Democrats who put out a plan for $15 an hour minimum wage. They're threatening to repeal the tax cuts. All of that brings uncertainty, and people feel like they're going to lose the momentum that we've gained. When you hear tax rates of 70%, I floated around. I mean, that's frightening to people. And actually, we do a pulse. It's called a survey with Scott Rasmussen called the Weekly Pulse. And we surveyed on that 70% taxes. And 94%, this is 1,000 Americans nationally, 94% of them said that a 70% tax rate is too high for anyone. And 3/4 of them said that no one should be paying more than 30%. I love these people. I mean, that's brilliant.
How do you continue to get that message out, Elaine?
We are continuing. We are actually on our website on taxcutswork.com. We are providing a one-pager that employers can hand out with their W-2s because they are going out. The big day is January 28th. They must all, or January 31st. They must all be out by the end of this month. And this one-pager encourages employees to go to our website and calculate how much their savings over last year so that they understand and can attribute their tax savings to good government policy. Now, part of the reason why we were founded by Bernie Marcus, who's the co-founder of the Home Depot, was to educate the public on how government policies impact their paychecks.
Right.
So this is a prime example of what we do.
We are with our good friend Elaine Parker. She is the Chief Communications Officer of the Job Creators Network. For more information, you want to check things out, go to taxcutswork.com, taxcutswork.com. You know, Elaine, you're probably not familiar with this, but we do have a number of radio stations that we own in Virginia. And right now, the Virginia General Assembly is considering a huge tax cut bill by the Republican Speaker. Kirk Cox put it up, which is trying to align state taxes with the Trump tax cut. And basically, it's got three things to it. Right now, the way our state tax works, if you're a Virginia resident, is that you have to align your state tax with your federal, however you filed. So if you itemize state, you have to, federal, you got to itemize state. If you took the standard deduct federal, you got to do that on the state. So what the Republicans have said is, look, that doesn't make any sense. So you ought to be able to do what you want on your state taxes. You feel like itemizing it, go ahead. They also raised the standard deduction to 4,000 single, 8,000 couple, and got rid of the SALT cap deduction, which is so far in the state tax, trying to align the state tax with the federal tax. Now, other states are taking this up in their general assemblies as well, trying to make an alignment so they're not out of whack. That's also going to translate into thousands of dollars of savings for filers on the state level as a direct result of the Trump tax cut. Do you see where I'm going with this, Elaine?
Absolutely. If some of these states follow suit of what the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act is doing at the federal level, we're really going to see even more relief for small business owners, and we're going to continue the trend of small businesses and opening, and female small business owners continuing opening businesses. John, I don't know a ton about state income taxes because I actually live in the state of Florida where we don't have a state income tax.
Lucky you.
So I am one of the lucky ones in this country for a lot of reasons.
I think there's only, 2 states without an income tax, I think, right? Florida, New Hampshire. I think
Texas
that's it.
Does not have one either.
Texas, right? There's 3 states. But, I mean, the point that I was making is whether you're in Virginia, Delaware, or Montana, the bottom line is state legislatures this session are trying to mirror the Trump tax cut with a tax cut alignment package of their own, which would never happen without the Trump tax cut that we had. So the trickle down is going to go down to the states, which is even going to have a bigger impact on the economy as some of these states go through it. But yes, we're jealous that you live in Florida and don't have to file state income taxes. That's thanks for reminding us of us that live in high tax states that we have to deal with it. I want to thank Elaine Parker for being with us. She is the Chief Communications Officer of the Job Creators Network. Go to taxcutswork.com. Taxcutswork.com. Elaine, keep up the great work. Hey, super op-ed. If people want to read that, where do they go?
They can go to The Hill. It was ran in The Hill yesterday.